Today, let's talk about a rather quick viewer question. So, the viewer question is when I'm journaling because I'm angry, I journaled and I end up feeling even angrier. So, I stopped journaling, but is this the right way to do things? How do I let go of the anger and the resentment? So, I'm gonna give you the simplified answer first. The super simple answer is you journal until you feel better. Now, this is a gross simplification, but let me explain the full logic behind it, and then you'll be able to tell why I expressed it in this way. Normally, when we have an inner experience, we don't like to look at things that make us feel uncomfortable. So, when we have a good event, we can really dive into the experience because we're so associated into that experience, and it makes us feel good as we're reliving that moment. On the other hand, it's very difficult to do the same thing for things that make you feel uncomfortable, because why? You feel uncomfortable, right? So what about the cases of like ruminating upon past failures and things like that? Sure, like you kind of get a strong emotional movement inside of you, and that can feel pretty enticing, causing you to replay it over and over, right? But you normally have those things because there's other factors at play there. For example, if I keep ruminating upon a previous failure, it's less about I really want to relive this moment, but it's more about blaming my past self for the misery of my today self, right? So that's a completely different interaction than what we are talking about from this video. So when we have an inner experience that's negative, it's very difficult for us to recollect with clarity and equanimity. Why? Because we get riled up, right? So journaling kinda, and at first, makes you even angrier. If you're journaling about something sad, it makes you a little bit sadder. And why? Because you touched on the surface level emotion, and normally you would stop thinking about it. But because you write about it, you spend more time in that emotion, and then you get to experience the emotion a little bit deeper. But you've never reached this far. You've never gone this deep ever before. So a lot of things are bottled up. And the bottled up things, they never experience the graceful exit and a graceful expression. So what is the only thing they know how to do? Explode. So you're kind of exploding because all these layers that you have kind of like neglected, you haven't really seen, you haven't really touched. Now that they feel like they're about to be addressed, so they're eager to come out. But again, this comes with a lot of emotional experiences, so you're tempted to stop writing, right? But the more you spend time writing about the things that you are exploding about, right? Like if I'm so angry and I'm writing about it, and I'm so writing about things that make me so angry, and the more I go deeper and deeper into how that reminds me of that one time, and that makes me feel so sad and angry, and this anger feels like blah blah blah, and I felt this before when blah blah blah, and that also brings up a memory when this came up, and blah blah blah. So there's a lot of that chain layer going on, right? And the thing is, once you sufficiently let it out, it will feel really different from before. Why? Because a lot of the things that just used to be here repressed, you've put it out for the first time. So there is that bit of relief that you are going to experience. But this is kind of its own limitation. Because what if you're angry about something and that reason is still there, right? So you temporarily feel better because you have expressed anger, you felt it, but then the reason why you are angry is continuing to be there, right? So what do we do in that case? Well, the thing is, even in that case, having explored these things help. Why? Suppose, I mean, not suppose. You're going down this rabbit hole of journaling in the first place because you want to see things through, right? But in order to see things through, you know that you have some inner work and some outer work to do about understanding the world, being developing more mindfulness, and like understanding things from different perspectives and so on and so forth, right? It's very difficult to do that work when you don't know what's happening inside. So you may not find the immediate solution to all the problems right now, but because you did the inner exploration, you're going to know where to exactly look when you are receiving teachings, when you are trying different perspectives, and when you're evaluating different outcomes inside of your head. So even if you don't get the immediate complete resolution, journaling until you feel better, journaling until you feel differently is still going to give you a great heap of benefit. Now, one thing that kind of summarizes this whole conversation in a different way is when we journal to become happy, journaling doesn't give you happiness, right? If journaling gave you happiness, that means without journaling, you can't be happy. Happiness is unconditional. Therefore, you should be able to be happy whether you journal or not. So I think I'm going to journal to be happy. I'm going to journal to feel better. I think that is a little bit of a misguided intention. So the actual benefits that come, the emotional shifts and the inner exploration that you get from journaling in the way that I described is I journal to understand myself better. When I understand myself better, it makes me feel good because I feel understood. When I journal about myself and understand myself better, it's good for me because I know where to address in my pursuits of life, right? So I know journaling can be a pretty complex topic, but I think this really oversimplified way and a little bit of explanation can give you a lot of clarity into how to apply it to your life. So when you look at my practice app that you can access in practice.julylifecoach.com, you have a chance to, after your meditation, you have a chance to briefly reflect and journal. So if you want to start your daily practice, you can start right now. You can start today at practice.julylifecoach.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.